The nervous system and the brain. Accurate, adjective, careful, free of mistakes or errors. Brainstem, noun, the central trunk of the human brain that continues down to the spinal cord. Cerebellum, noun, the part of the brain, the human brain, that is found at the bottom and back of the skull and that helps control muscle activity. Cerebral Cortex, noun, sheet of nerves that makes up the outer layer of the cerebrum of the human brain and that is responsible for memory, attention, perceptual awareness, thought, language, and consciousness. Cerebrum, noun, the dominant part of the human brain found in the front of the skull that has two sections and is responsible for regulating most thought processes and voluntary actions of the body. Dependent, adjective, controlled or determined by something else. Hemispheres, noun, halves of a sphere, halves of the earth, halves of the cerebrum. Medulla, noun, the lowest part of the brainstem, responsible for involuntary muscle movements. The nervous system and the brain. Hi, I've got lots of fascinating facts to share with you today, so I'm hoping that my brain is in good working order. There's a lot to remember. Raise your hand if you have a brain. Phew! I'm glad all hands went up. Yes, of course you have a brain. All vertebrates have brains. Who remembers what else all vertebrates have? Yes, backbones. You know that you have a backbone. You've been testing out those wonderfully flexible spines that support your bodies and protect your spinal cords. You've learned that your nervous system is a complex network with two essential organs, your spinal cord and your brain. Your spinal cord is connected to your brain by the brainstem, the central trunk of the brain. Your brain itself is very soft, but it is well protected by your cranium, or brain case. This strong eggshell-shaped part of your skull is formed from 8 interlocking bones, wedged together like the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Inside your skull, your brain floats in a clear liquid that cushions it and keeps it from banging against your skull. Your brain is covered in grooves and folds, resembling a huge walnut. About the size of a cantaloupe or a grapefruit, this jelly-like pinkish-gray blob has blood vessels running all through its wrinkled mass. They carry oxygen, water, and other important nutrients to the brain. The brain, when fully grown, weighs about 3 pounds. That may seem pretty small and light for such a big body, but humans have larger brains than animals when compared to their body size. So, even though the brains of elephants and whales are actually larger than human brains, their brains are smaller than ours compared with the enormous size of their bodies. There are 3 main sections of the brain. They are the brainstem, the cerebrum, and the cerebellum. Each part of the brain has an important function. Your brainstem, about as thick as your thumb, is approximately 3 inches long. It helps to relay messages between your brain and spinal cord. The bottom third of your brainstem, the part that blends into the top of your spinal cord, is called the medulla. The medulla is responsible for many of your body's involuntary or automatic muscle movements. The medulla makes sure that your lungs are receiving oxygen by controlling your breathing and making sure your heart is beating. The medulla helps you swallow and break down the food in your digestive system. The medulla controls your coughs and sneezes and hiccups, as well as your sleeping and dreaming. It also controls the movement of your head and neck. The cerebrum is the largest part of your brain, filling the whole upper part of your skull. Language, memory, thought, sensations, and decision-making are housed in your cerebrum. Your cerebrum is the thinking brain, and the part of the cerebrum that does most of the thinking is called the cerebral cortex. Your cortex is the deeply wrinkled outer surface of the cerebrum. The more that it is used, the thicker it becomes. In other words, people who use their brains to think a lot develop thicker cortexes. Do you think your cortex is getting any thicker? It is. You are learning a lot each day. Let's look more close at the cerebrum. The cerebrum is divided into 2 halves or hemispheres. The 2 hemispheres of the brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, are linked to one another by thick nerve fibers. Interestingly, the nerves that connect your cerebrum to the rest of your body cross over to the opposite side as they enter your brain. This means that each hemisphere largely controls the muscles of the opposite side of the body. The left side of your cerebrum controls muscles on the right side of your body. The right side of your cerebrum controls muscles on the left side of your body. One hemisphere is usually more developed than another in most people. If you use the right side of your body more, that is, you kick with your right foot and hold your pencil in your right hand, the left hemisphere is dominant or in control. It is the left hemisphere that is mostly associated with language, math, and reading. If, however, you use the left side of your brain more, that is, you kick with your left foot and you hold your pencil in your left hand, the right hemisphere is more dominant. The right hemisphere is mostly associated with imagination, music, and shapes. The third part of your brain, in addition to the brainstem and the cerebrum, is called the cerebellum, meaning little brain. Tucked under your cerebrum in the back of your brain, your cerebellum resembles your cerebrum with two hemispheres of its own. Your cerebellum is the control center for balance and coordination. It is constantly adjusting the way your body moves. As you practice any physical activity, such as dancing, your cerebellum receives messages about your body's actions and positions. It sends commands back to your muscles, adjusting your movements. As your cerebellum gradually becomes more accurate in its corrections, you begin to notice improvements in your dancing or whatever activity you are trying to perfect. For example, if you have learned to ride a bike, chances are you didn't master it all at once. It took practice. Your cerebellum was in charge of your balance and coordination, making small adjustments with each improvement until you could pedal quickly and furiously on your own without even thinking about it. Let's try an experiment to demonstrate what the cerebellum does. Close your eyes and reach your arms out to the side so your body makes the shape of a T. Slowly bring your arms forward, touching the fingertips together. You may open your eyes now. Was that easy for you? Your cerebellum coordinated your movements for you. If you damage your cerebellum, you would not be able to do this simple exercise. No matter how hard you tried, your hands would jerk around without any control. Now, let's put all the parts of your brain together. Look at this picture of the brain. See if you can identify the three parts, the brainstem, the cerebrum, and the cerebellum. I'm going to ask you 3 riddles to test your knowledge and see how well your brain is working. Ready? I am the largest part of the brain divided into 2 hemispheres. I am something called the thinking brain. What am I? I am only 3 inches long, but without me, the spinal cord would not be connected to the brain. One of my parts is called the medulla. What am I? I look a lot like the cerebrum with 2 hemispheres of my own, but I am much smaller. Without me, you would not be able to balance on one leg. What am I? Great job, everyone! Your brain is not very big, and yet it is more powerful than the strongest computer ever created. All other systems of the body are dependent upon this complex 3-pound organ that lives inside your skull. Your brain is the center of your memory, thoughts, and feelings. Your brain is in command of your whole body. When your brain stops working, the rest of your body will stop working as well. Well, I think I remembered everything I wanted to tell you today. Next time we'll look inside your skulls some more to see what else is tucked away within those bones in addition to the brain. See you then!